America is too damn big. No, not that kind of big. I mean, it's just, there's too many states. America has 50 states, and that is 40 states too many. When I was in second grade at about 7 years old, part of the curriculum was memorizing and recalling all of the US states. At first I was like, okay, cool, yeah, no problem, I got this. But when I learned that there was 50 of them, that's ridiculous. The capitals too? 50 capitals? You want me to memorize 100 things? No, I did the best I could, and all of that information left my brain as soon as I left elementary school. And now a couple years later, I don't remember at least half of them. In fact, quite often, I sit there and think of random states that I haven't thought about in a long time and think, oh wow, I forgot they even exist. If you don't live in Delaware, when's the last time you actually thought about Delaware? And let's be honest, at least half of the US states are pretty useless anyways. I am going to simplify America so no poor child in school has to go through the torture of remembering all of these goddamn states. So New England consists of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island and Connecticut. They all pretty much serve the same purpose. We're just gonna form all of those into one giant state, and Boston will be the capital because that's the only city I can think of there. But I think that we're gonna leave Rhode Island by itself because it is the smallest US state and something needs to hold that title. Did you know that the official name for Rhode Island was the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations? And it wasn't until 2022 that voters decided to drop the Providence Plantations part because of, well, you know, racism. They did keep the state part though, so technically it's State of Rhode Island is the full official name. It's pretty arrogant of them if you ask me. No other state demands to be called that. So you're just Rhode Island now. New England as a name doesn't make any sense. None of this area makes me think of England. I've never been to any of these places, but I would bet that they would relate more to Canada because, you know, it's really close there and it's also cold. And I'm pretty sure that they have more of a Canadian accent than an English accent. So New England is a dumb name. We're gonna name this New Canada. So if you live in New Canada, feel free to yell at me in the comments for calling you Canadian. I don't know if that's offensive. All right, so we're at 2 states. That's a good start. Let's go down south to Florida. Florida is kind of just doing its own thing with everything. And at this point, I think that we just need some spice in our life. Europe is cool because you can just hop on a train in any direction and end up in another country, but the US you can't really. You just have Canada and Mexico, and it's also really far. So I think that Florida should be its own country. Did you know that a part of Florida actually declared war on the US and then surrendered immediately after and requested $1 billion in foreign aid? That's a story for another time. It's true though, look it up. They want to be a country so bad, I say we let them. I'd be curious to know what Florida would turn into after a couple years. Okay, going back up north a little bit, we have Delaware, one of the most useless states around, which holds the title as the second smallest US state, which isn't really something to be proud of. Being the smallest is an accomplishment. Being the second smallest is just sad. We can combine Delaware with everything around it and just make things easier. Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, I don't even know what I'm pointing at. What's with all this new stuff? Come on. We can think of a little more originality than that. Can you even point to Old York or Old Jersey on the map? No. Also, Washington, D.C. is around here somewhere, which always confused me as a child because it's not even a state or part of the states technically. And there's also a Washington state and a Washington, D.C. That's too confusing. All of this is now just gonna be called Washington. No more of those new titles that keeps us tied to England. It's honestly more American this way. But this does pose a problem out west. We'll come back to that. We have North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, and East Virginia. Wait. No, it's just Virginia. What happened to East Virginia? I know my cardinal directions. Never eat soggy waffles. I don't need states to remind me of that. All of this can just be one giant state, but we need a name to merge the Carolinas and Virginias. Probably something to morph them together. So you have Carolina and Virginia. Virginia, Carolina, Virginia. Perfect. Okay, the map is getting a little bit more complicated now when you go out west. So all these borders is just done. Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, all of those are pretty useless. So we're just gonna make this Ohio now. All of that is Ohio. So when people make fun of Ohio, we can just lump all of that together. Now we have the southern states. That is the worst accent ever. And then we have the states with literally no one in it. No one lives there. I literally have more followers on TikTok than the entire state of Wyoming. And the South is pretty much all the same too. It's all the South. So we're gonna make this simple, all right? We're gonna take this little area here and then Iowa. It's another state that I never think about, Iowa. Who even thinks about Iowa? We're gonna take the group of states over here and we're gonna call these Ye. And then we're gonna take this little group of southern states here and we're gonna call those Ha. So we got Ye and Ha. Yi covers all the states that are just ghost towns, barely anyone lives there. It's fine. And Ha is for all the southern states down there. All right, now we got to deal with Nevada, which is where I am. When people outside of Nevada think of Nevada, there's only one place that you think of. And maybe, just maybe, they might remember that Reno exists. But probably not. Reno is still a pretty important city, I guess. But outside of that, it's all desert. Carson City, nobody cares about that. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take a little section of Vegas, like about that big, right? And we're gonna call that Nevada. And then we'll take Reno up there, and we'll take a little circle out of that as well. And we're gonna call that Nevada, which is what people outside of Nevada think Nevada is pronounced. It's not Nevada, it's Nevada. Okay, so now we have all this leftover extra space that's just desert nothingness. So let's look at Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. Those 4 states are all together. All of them are a little bit similar. I kind of forget that New Mexico even exists, to be honest. Other than Breaking Bad, it kind of put New Mexico on the map. Arizona is too damn hot to even be livable, and will probably be on fire in another 50 years or so. Utah is Mormon land and is quite literally 90% white people. I don't even think I'm exaggerating on that statistic at all. So it needs a little diversity in the mix. Colorado is kind of cool for the nature and all that, but for the sake of simplicity here, we've already made a lot of super states, and that's getting pretty boring. So we're just gonna abandon the entire area, and we're gonna make it the Wild West. It is now a, what do you call it? Like unsanctioned land, a DMZ zone, whatever you want to call it. But basically, cowboys are legal here now. There are no laws. Anybody can go in there and set up shop and set up towns and sheriffs and do whatever they want. We'll let them figure it out. It's just the Wild West. We're bringing it back. Cowboys are real again. All right, so we're at like, I think almost 10 states or something like that. 1 country and 1 demilitarized zone. Texas is honestly probably fine the way it is. I don't know. It's probably not considered the largest US state anymore, but yeah, Texas is fine, I guess. We could leave it. Texas isn't that important. California is too powerful. Too damn powerful. The largest population, most electoral votes, booming economy from Hollywood, and then booming economy, blah, blah, blah. Booming economy. Saying that multiple times is hard. I'm gonna give up. The tech industry. They need to be stopped before they become too strong. Isn't there laws against that? It's like a monopoly. I'm pretty sure California has a monopoly on this right now. And we can't let them be a country like Florida. They'll just be too strong. They'll probably overtake the entire United States. So no, we gotta do something about that. NorCal and SoCal are already pretty different from each other, and people already have that mental break in their head. So we're just gonna split it right down the middle. And we're not gonna call it North and South California, because that's dumb. The South will now be known as Cali, and the North is now known as Fornia. Bam, done. Oregon and Washington. They're both pretty much the same when it comes to politics and nature and vibes, I guess. Except the problem is the West Coast is very populated, and the east side of the states are all rural, and there's even been petitions to break up Oregon and have the east side be absorbed by Idaho, which Idaho is not a thing anymore. So instead, what we're gonna do, we're gonna combine Oregon and Washington. We're gonna split it vertically. The right will be known as Oregon, and the left would include Portland and Seattle. We already have Washington, so we'll just call it New Washington. And we can't forget Alaska and Hawaii. Do we really need that? I mean, it doesn't even connect to us. It's so far. I think that's pretty dumb. I say we give Alaska back to the Russians and Hawaii back to the natives just to make things easier. Which leaves us the final product of the United States of America after I've simplified things. It leaves us with 14 states, 1 country, and 1 demilitarized zone, and it's honestly way easy to remember. I think I could probably recall all 14 of these off the top of my head without even looking. I'm gonna try right now. I'm gonna put myself in the shoes of a 2nd grader. I think I can remember them all. We got Washington, we got New Washington, we got Virginia, we got Yi, we got Ha, we got Texas, we got Oregon, we got Cali, we got Fornia, and then we got, shit, I'm forgetting some. Nevada. I'm forgetting 4. Yeah, okay. 14's still too hard to remember.